Hello everyone. Deepali Ingle welcomes you on behalf of Saraswat International Academy, Rata Vapi. Today we will learn English Chapter 2, Class 12th, Lost Spring. Stories of Stolen Childhood. The textbook is Flamingo. While learning, please keep your textbook, notebook and a pen with you so that you can note down the important meanings and phrases. In this video, we will cover page number 13, 14 and 15. And at the end of this video, I will attach some important meanings and phrases. About the author, Anis Chubb was born in Rourkela and spent her childhood and adolescence in Hyderabad. She has been editor and columnist for major newspapers in India and abroad and has authored several books. The following is an extract: Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood. Here she analyzed the grinding poverty and traditions which condemn these children to a life of exploitation. So let's move on to the lesson. The following is an extract from Annie's book titled Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood. In this extract, she is talking about the children, especially the street children, the slum children, who are burdened with child labor and they are deprived. They are not able to go to school and get an education. Instead, they go to work. They work all through the day. That is how their life is. And she is also talking about the people in power who do not care about them, but actually exploit these people and make them do more work. In this extract, she is telling a story of two boys. One is called Sahib and the other one is called Mukesh. Let's look at the first story. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Why do you do this? I ask Sahib, whom I encounter every morning, scrounging for gold in the garbage dumps of my neighborhood. Sahib left his home long ago. Set amidst the green fields of Dhaka, his home is not even a distant memory. There were many storms that swept away their fields and homes. His mother tells him that's why they left, looking for gold in the big city where he now lives. I have nothing else to do, he mutters, looking away. Go to school, I say glibly, realizing immediately how hollow the advice must sound. There is no school in my neighborhood. When they built one, I will go. If I start a school, will you come? I ask, half joking. Yes, he says, smiling broadly. A few days later, I see him running up to me. Is your school ready? It takes longer to build a school, I say, embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant, but promises like mine around in every corner of his blank world. So, here encounter means come across. Scrounging means searching. Mutters means murmurs, speaking in a low voice. Glibly means fluently. Neighborhood means surrounding. And embarrassed means ashamed. So, here she is talking about the rag picker called Sahib. What is rag picker? A person who collects and sells rags. Every time she sees this boy called Sahib and he just keeps rag picking from her neighborhood. Neighborhood means surrounding area. One day she stopped him and asked him, why do you do this every morning? He is going and scrounging for gold. What is scrounging? Scrounging means searching in order to find something for gold in the garbage. Children, for gold here not exactly mean the metal gold, but something very valuable. So these people, the rag pickers, go and search this garbage in order to find something very valuable. Sahib's family was from Dhaka. Where is Dhaka? It is in Bangladesh. But they had left their home a long time ago. Storms had destroyed their fields and homes. That's why they left and had come to Delhi with a hope for the better life. The writer asked Sahib, why didn't he go to school? Then he replied, he said that there was no school near his house. The writer jokingly promised to open a school. And Sahib also readily agreed to join the school. Then after a few days, Sahib asked her if she had opened the school. The author was very embarrassed at having made him a false promise. She realized that such false promises are made to such children almost every day. And she also thought that just she casually said, "Ki I will open a school for you." After months of knowing him, I ask him his name. Sahib Alam, he announces. He does not know what it means. If he knew its meaning, Lord of Universe means, he would have a hard time believing it. Unaware of his name represents, he roams the streets with his friends, an army of barefoot boys who appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. Over the months, I have come to recognize each. Aren't you wearing chappals? I ask one. My mother did not bring them down from the shelf. He answers simply. Even if she did, he will throw them off. Adds another, who is wearing shoes that do not match. When I comment on it, he shuffles his feet and says nothing. I want shoes, says a third boy who has never owned a pair all his life. Traveling across the country, I have seen children walking barefoot in cities on village roads. It is not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. I wonder if this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. So here embarrassed means ashamed, and perpetual means continuous. So she knew this boy for quite long time. So one day, she asked him his name. Sahib Alam, he announces immediately. She says that the poor boy does not know the meaning of his name. She also says that it will be very difficult for him if he knows the meaning of his name. And what is the meaning of his name? It means Lord of Universe. And what is he right now? He is just a rag picker. So the narrator says that as he was unaware the meaning of his name, he roams with the other streets boys who are his friends. They all are like an army of barefoot because they don't have slippers. Here a phrase is there, an army of barefoot means the children because they don't have slippers or shoes to wear. The children without shoes or slippers are called an army of barefoot. They just walked barefoot all over and they appeared like morning birds. How birds are coming in the morning and just they disappearing at the noon. So she says that in a few months she started recognizing each and every one of them because every day she met them in the morning. So she told now she is able to recognize each and every one. One day she asked one of the fellow, why don't you wear chappals? So what was the answer given? The boy said, my mother didn't bring the slippers down from the shelf. Children, so do you think that is he really has slippers? His mother has kept it on shelf? No, it is just one way of escaping the answer. He is very poor. He is a rag picker. So there is no possibility of him of having any slippers. While moving across the country, the narrator has seen many children walking barefoot. One of the explanations was that it was a tradition and not lack of money, but just an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty, means continuous state of poverty. So why they are giving the explanation of not wearing the slippers? Because they are very, very poor. I remember a story a man from Udupi once told me. As a young boy, he would go to school past an old temple where his father was a priest. He would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. 30 years later, I visited his town and the temple, which was now drowned in an air of desolation. In the backyard, where lived a new priest, there were red and white plastic chairs. A young boy dressed in a grey uniform, wearing socks and shoes, arrived panting and threw his school bag on a folding bed. Looking at the boy, I remembered the prayer another boy had made to the goddess. When he had finally got a pair of shoes, let me never lose them. The goddess had granted his prayer. Young boys like the son of the priest now wore shoes, but many others like the son of the priest now wore shoes, but many others like the rag pickers in my neighborhood remained shoeless. The author remembered a man from Udupi who, as a young boy, would pass a temple where his father was a priest. Here is the story of a boy who is story of a man who is from Udupi, and father was a priest, and he prayed for a pair of shoes. 30 years later, the writer visited her town, and, and behind the temple, there was a house of a new priest. Whose house was there behind the temple? The house was a new priest. And something she noticed, Annis noticed that the young boy of the priest arrived from school and he was panting. He came fast. So he was panting. And what she noticed, the boy of the priest was wearing shoes of the shoes and socks. Then suddenly she remembered the boy, long story, the boy who prayed that he should never lose his shoes, and the goddess had granted his prayer. And most of the young boys, like the son of the priest, now wore shoes. So what happened? That means there is a lot of change in the condition of the priest. Now they are able to wear shoes and socks. But children, many children in our surrounding remain shoeless. Why? Why they are remain shoeless? Because of their poverty. Their condition, children, never change. So the narrator says that though the condition of the priest from the Udupi, the boy has changed, but she just remembered that many children in our surroundings, they remained shoeless. They, because of poverty, their condition never changed. In my acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads me to Simapuri. Acquaintance means familiarity. Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi. Periphery here is a border, yet miles away from the metaphorically. Uh, Metaphorically means symbolically. Those who live there here are squatters. Who are squatters? Squatters means a person who illegally occupied or a building or a land, who came from Bangladesh in 1971. Sahib's family is among them. Simapuri was then a wilderness. Wilderness means what? Uncultivated land. It's still, but it is no longer empty. In structures of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin. Tarpaulin means what? A heavy duty waterproof cloth which can save us from the rain. Devoid of sewage, drainage, or running water, live 10,000 rag pickers. They have lived here for more than 30 years without an identity, without permits, but with ration cards that get their names on voters' list and enable them to buy green. Food is more important for survival with an identity. If at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no green. Say a group of women in a tattered saris. When I ask them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers, wherever they find food, they pitch their tents there. In a transit, became transit homes. What is transit? Transit means not permanent. Children grow up them, becoming partners in survival. and survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Through the year, it has acquired the proportion of a fine art. Here is also a phrase, proportion of fine art means skill. Garbage to them is gold. It is their daily bread. A roof over their heads, even if it is leaking roof. But for a child, it is even more. Now, she knew them, the author knew them very well, and she was able to go to Simapuri because she is familiar with the children. So, she was able to go to Simapuri. And where is Simapuri? It is on the periphery of Delhi, means it is near the border of Delhi, outskirts of Delhi. Though Delhi is well-developed metro city, but Simapuri comparatively far away from Delhi. And these people are squatters. Squatters means who are unlawfully occupied the buildings or unused land from Bangladesh. And Sahib's family is one of them in Simapuri. Sahib's family also migrated from Bangladesh, Dhaka, in Simapuri after so many years back. Simapuri was wilderness, means it was uncultivated land. The land is no longer empty. Why? Because all these squatters came and occupied the place because they don't have no other place to go there. So they came and they settled down in that land that is called, the area is called as Simapuri. Children, you can see the condition of rag pickers. Their houses are made of mud. There is no facility of proper water, drainage, and devoid of sewage. So, see the condition how they were living. So, these people were living here for past 30 years, but they don't have any identity. Why? They don't have any permit also. They can't do as per wish. They have ration cards and their names on the voters list. They can get the food grains with the help of the ration cards. So which things they are having, though they don't have permits, but they have ration cards and voter ID cards also. For them, what is important? Getting food is more important for survival than having an identity on their own. So survival is at that time is very, very important for these people. And what the ladies who are living there in Simapuri said to author when she asked why they migrated. So they told that they are happy, they can feed their children and they can sleep without an empty stomach. They feel that if it is much better than staying in a fields that gave them no grain. So they lost everything in storm. So when the narrator asked them, they gave the reason why they migrated from Dhaka, Bangladesh. These people, wherever food is available, they pitch their houses. Pitch their houses means they build their houses. And these houses become their transit homes. And what is transit home? Transit home means it can be shifted from one place to another, wherever along with them. Wherever they can get food, they can shift their houses from one place to another. And along with them, children stay with them. And what is the meaning of survival in Simapuri? It is rag picking. Rag picking means collecting and selling rags, going and searching rags in the heap of garbage. And who is helping the parents? Children also helping the parents. So, it has acquired the proportions of fine art. Here the phrase is there. Means many years people living in Simapuri are trying to do rag picking. And it is like an art. So you should be very skillful to do rag picking. And people who skilled can find some valuable things from the rags. So what is the main occupations of the people who lived in Simapuri? It is rag picking. So children, garbage is very valuable for them, like a gold, because these people go and search. They find out few interesting items from rags and sell it. It is their daily bread. That means after selling, why it is called as daily bread? Because after selling, they can get money and buy food for them. Even if it is leaking roof, they didn't bother. So how the houses were, they are having leaking roof because at least it gives them shelter. So the narrator describes the condition of the people in Simapuri and the houses, how they lived, what the main occupation are there, and why they migrated from there after so many years back. So everything she knew and asked. The people gave, that women gave her the answers why they migrated and the condition of the houses like that. I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note, Sahib says, his eyes lighting up. When you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging, for there is a hope of finding more. It seems that for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. For the children, it is wrapped in wonder. For the elders, it is means of survival. So, this is the last paragraph of page number 50. When she spoke to Sahib, he said sometimes he is able to find a rupee or a 10 rupee note. That is something great for him. And sometimes he is getting some valuable things also. So these children are becoming more interested because they have a hope of finding something like a rupee, a 10 rupee note, or something better than that. For children, rag picking is different, and for parents, it is different. So, for children, rag picking is like what is rag picking for children? Rag picking, the children rag picking is like a wonder. They become they became so excited when they find something interesting, and they were very happy if they found a better thing in the garbage. But for parents, rag picking is important because why it is important for parents? There are two different views of rag picking. It is like for children it is different, and for parents it is different. But for parents, rag picking is important because they have to sell it and get money for survival and earn their daily bread. So, what is daily bread? So, they have to buy food for the money which they get from after selling the rags. One winter morning, I see Sahib standing by the fenced gate of the neighborhood club, watching two young men dressing in white playing tennis. I like the game, he hums, content to watch it standing behind the fence. I go inside when no one is around, he admits. The gatekeeper lets me use the swing. Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes that look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. Someone gave them to me, he said in the manner of an explanation. The fact that they are discarded shoes of some rich boy, who perhaps refused to wear them because of a hole in one of them, does not bother him. For one who has walked barefoot, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. But the game he is watching so intently is out of his reach. So, one day during the winter, the writer Anis Jung sees the boy Sahib standing near the fence gate of a club. So, what was Sahib doing? He was just standing near club gate and he was watching two men playing tennis. So, just tells, murmurs, he saying that yes, he is interested in this game. He likes and stand watching the game. He admits that he can go inside when nobody around. So he says that the gatekeeper, the watchman, allows him to use the swing also. He was very interested in playing tennis and he also likes to watch that game. She noticed that this boy discolored clothes, and along with that, he was also wearing a pair of tennis shoes. So when she asked and looked at him in a questioning manner, what did he reply? He replied that someone had given the shoes to him. So the real thing is that the pair of shoes was actually belonging to some rich boy who threw them just because there was a hole in one of the shoe. But for Sahib, it does not bother him because getting a pair of shoes itself very great for him. So the narrator says that the boy who does not have a pair of shoes at all, so even if he gets a pair of shoes with a small hole in it. It is like a dream coming true. But there is no chance for him to play along with the men who are playing inside. Why? Because he is just a rag picker. This morning, Sahib is on the way to the milk booth. In his hand is a steel canister. Canister means steel container. I now work in a tea stall down the road, he says, pointing in the distance. I am paid 800 rupees and all my meals. Does he like the job? I ask. His face, I see, has lost the carefree look. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry so lightly over his shoulder. The bag was his. The canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. Sahib is no longer his own master. One morning, she sees Sahib is on the way to milk booth. He was carrying a steel canister. Steel canister is a steel container. Now he tells Anis that now I am working in a tea stall. So he is not doing rag picking anymore. He is just working in a tea stall. So what is that the money he is getting by working at the tea stall? He gets 800 rupees and all his meals. He can eat food freely for working there. She asked whether he is happy with his job. When she notices his face is not having the carefree look which he used to have usually. That means he is not looking happy now. When he is working now in a tea stall, he is not looking happy. So when he was a rag picker, he used to carry a plastic bag. And why did he carry the plastic bag? Because whatever he has picked from the rags, he has to put it in that plastic bag. Now you can understand that why the steel canister, though it was small, was heavier than a plastic bag, because the canister does not belong to him. It belongs to the owner of that shop. This means he cannot do as he wishes. He has to work for somebody. He has to wait for the orders of someone else, and he is not free to do whatever he wishes. That means he is not master of his own. So she says that he has lost his carefree look. That means he is not happy with the job he is doing now. Okay, children, that is the first part of the chapter, the story of Sahib the rag picker. Now, in the next part, we will see the story of a bangle maker called Mukesh. The title is I Want to Drive a Car. Thank you, children. We will meet in the next video with the second story. Your homework is to read the chapter thoroughly. Thank you.